How's it going, everybody? Andy McCullough from the Los Angeles Times here with Bill Plaschke, also of the Los Angeles Times. Bill, I want to ask you the question they're asking you on Around the Horn, cold pizza, who's now?
I know what's coming. I'm going to take it out of your mouth. What's wrong with Kenley Jansen?
Correct.
You know what? I don't know. I don't think you know. No, I don't think they know. I think it's a combination, in my opinion, of all the work he did last year, a lot of 6-out saves. They pay a price for that. Plus, as I recall, and I was only in spring training for several days, he didn't pitch this spring.
He didn't pitch a lot.
He didn't pitch a lot this spring. So that combination has gone off to a really slow start. I just know the only thing for certain is that they got to have him. I mean,
yeah.
Doc said it. If he doesn't do well, they don't win, period.
I mean, you cover baseball for 10 years, and this is my 9th year covering baseball, and there is nothing worse for a baseball team than losing in the 9th inning when you have a lead. There is nothing worse than when you have a bullpen you can't trust. It affects morale to such a tremendous extent.
I was in the press box on Tuesday night watching Ohtani with the Angels, and all anybody could talk about was, oh my God, Kenley Jansen blew another save. I mean, you could hear the rumbling through the press box.
Yeah.
People were talking about it. It's that big of a deal. He blew a save in San Diego. That never happens in San Diego.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it a couple years ago, and it was like a seismic shock.
Yes,
it
felt that way all the way up in Anaheim.
And now it's like, I mean, it's a real problem. The cutter is not, it wasn't moving with the velocity it had moved before in the past. It doesn't have the movement it had in the past. The landing spot is inconsistent. That's what he said, but it's a chicken or egg thing. Why is the landing spot inconsistent?
And there is no plan B, right? They have no plan B for this.
I mean,
some teams have a closer in waiting.
They could find a guy, they could match up and play, but a lot of the things they do, and I wrote this a few weeks ago, a lot of the things they do as a team are predicated on having Kenley Jansen there. It allows you to mix and match in the 6th and 7th and 8th inning, knowing that in the 9th, it does not matter who is up for the other team, we can count on Kenley Jansen. And knowing that you can deploy him in the 8th. He is a huge safety net for everything they do.
Well, the whole game is built. In fact, let's go back to the World Series game 2 last year, where the whole game is built around him. And when Ross Stripling comes in and throws first-rate balls, everything changes. He pitches too soon. He gets beat. Dodgers get beat.
Right. I mean, think about it. It's like, in Game 5 when they were playing the Nationals in 2016, they built the game plan around, okay, we know we can get this from our starting pitcher, and we know we can get this from Kenley Jansen. And if all of a sudden the back end becomes in question, that's a real problem for this team.
You should, by the way, go back and read Andy's story on Game 5, 2016. Tremendous recap of that game. Look it up online right now. It's tremendous. And I would like to focus on Max Scherzer because a lot of people are wondering, who were around when Andrew Friedman arrived 4 years ago, why isn't Max Scherzer in a Dodger uniform? He could very well have been. Friedman got here in October of 2014. Hottest free agent on the market was Max Scherzer. Dodgers could have signed him. They decided not to. They decided to stick with Zach Greinke. Of course, they had Kershaw. They decided that they didn't need the support, the rotation. They thought maybe he wanted too much money for too many years. Guess what? That's a big signing that got away from the Dodgers.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew Friedman said it himself a couple years ago. If you're rational on every free agent, you will finish 3rd on every free agent. The Dodgers were rational on Max Scherzer. It was irrational to give him. I think he got 7 years, $214.
And in fact, GM said it was at the time was the worst signing of the year.
You look at it and you say, wow, this is a guy who has a history of shoulder issues. This is a guy who has had trouble getting to 200 innings, and it makes sense to stay away from that guy. Now he has become, along with Kershaw and Chris Sale, one of the 3 best pitchers in baseball.
Well, I would ask you this. Do you think if Andrew Friedman, knowing what he knows about the LA market, knowing that he knows about it being a star town, knowing what he knows about there being no second place acceptability, do you think he would have made that signing now?
I think the bigger thing is knowing that Zach Greinke would leave.
Okay.
I think they probably felt pretty confident that they were going to be the #1 bidder for Greinke, and so it would be redundant almost. When they came in, they wanted to work the margins of the roster, improve the depth of the organization. They felt like the core star power was already there, and it was an upset when Greinke went elsewhere. But I think knowing all these things, they would much rather have Max Scherzer in uniform with the Dodgers than not. You should read all the coverage in the page of the Los Angeles Times, LATimes.com/Dodgers. Bill, I'm Andy. Bye.